Yeah.
Cheers, baby bear.
Love you.
I love you too.
Just a midday break.
Oh, that mint though.
Oh, it's really coming
It's
through.
really coming through. So this is like a mint infused
Lime vodka.
lime vodka. Ooh.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Now a little jalapeno.
See, a little jalapeno. Hello, 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 and welcome to Part of Love, the channel devoted to helping you find the love you deserve. I'm Colt.
I'm Ann.
And this is the place that we created to talk about all things love. So if you ever had questions about dating or relationships or just love in general, and you feel like you can't find the answers anywhere else, or you just think it's total, well, hopefully we can help you here. Oh, YouTube things?
First, all the YouTube things.
All the
yeah,
YouTube
all
things.
the
Look at
YouTube
'em.
things. Like, subscribe, comment, follow us on Instagram at colt.and.ange.
We would love for you to join the community. It's such an exciting time. It's growing. We've got some new things coming and we're so stoked. So we would love to have you join. Okay, let's move into today's topic, which as close as we are right now, you'd never know that we did a third of our over a decade together long distance.
Can you believe it? That's kind of crazy to say out loud.
Yeah, it really, really is.
Ugh.
And so the thing that we wanted to talk about today was the most important question before you get into anything else about long distance, because next week's video is going to be how to make long distance relationships work. We're going to give you our tips and tricks about that. But before you do that, what's the number one question that you need to ask yourself before doing a long distance relationship?
Is this really worth it? Do you want to do this long distance? Does this person mean so much to you that you're willing to put in the work and the time and the emotional effort and the communication, all of these things we want you to ask yourself. And we're going to kind of like guide you through it a little bit today.
Yeah. We're gonna guide you through the process of deciding whether or not it's worth it. Because here's the quick and dirty of it. Is it worth it? Yes or no? Now, not all of us can just say yes or no, or more importantly, I think not all of us are willing to just say yes or no.
Right,
I know
right.
that I've been in situations before. I was dating somebody, and I was in New York. I was getting ready to go out on a tour, and it was the Chorus Line tour, and the person I was dating was fantastic. They were very, very nice and kind and sweet and all of that stuff. It just wasn't the right connection.
Yeah.
And they went above and beyond for me in a lot of ways. It really has nothing to do with them. But I knew in my heart of hearts, I was like, I do not want to continue dating you.
Right.
And this is a great excuse. Now, I knew that. I could answer that. Nope, I don't want to do this. However, when I got in front of her, I was like, I just feel like it's not going to work.
God.
Oh, no.
Well, were you
It was the
afraid of
worst.
hurting her feelings?
Yes, I didn't
so
want to
that you
hurt
kinda
her
like...
feelings. And so instead, I hurt her feelings for way longer by dragging it out. She knew what was going on, and it was so shitty of me. So don't do that.
We're all guilty of it, but yes, I could have been more graceful at times also. Similar things.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. So first things first, if you do know, cut that shit out. Don't drag it out. Don't make them sit around and wait and hope that you're going to come around and be that person that they want you to be. Because if you know you're not, then you're not, which is fine. But
Right. I think the hard thing about long distance too is if you're dragging it on and you know that you don't want to be a part of this, and that person is, miles and miles potentially across the world from you, and they're saving all their loving for when you visit, once in a blue moon,
or when they want to fly out to see you, and you're like, oh, it's this month is a bad year.
Don't do that to somebody. You know what I mean? Like they could be out living their best life as well, and so could you.
And what egos we have to think that we are the best thing that could possibly happen to this person.
Right.
That's something I've actually never thought of. What an absolutely egotistical thing to go, I don't want to hurt this person because what's the dot, what's the ellipsis there? It's because I'm just fantastic. Like, I'm so great.
That's a good point. That's pretty
How are they going to
terrible.
find anything like me? Like, that's essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
We don't want to admit it, but that is what we're saying when we say, I don't want to hurt them. They will get over you. Everybody I've ever dated has gotten over me, and vice versa. Everyone who I thought broke my heart has I don't think about them
Right.
unless we're talking about
We
it right
will
now.
not die of broken hearts from exes, at least,
Oh.
because they're exes for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And breaking up is awesome. We have a video on that. Check it out.
we do. Wait, so we did.
Yeah,
write
so we
down a
wanted to
couple
talk about,
bullet
we've got our bullet points right here. So do we really want to make it work? Is it worth it to you? Now that's like we said, the quick and dirty is the yes or no. Now, if you need to get more into it, like, let's talk about what this is going to entail. What are some of the hard parts? Because we have, like we said, a third of our 11 plus years together at this point has been spent apart, whether I was touring with Pink in Australia or Europe or all over the US, or you were touring like with Aladdin. You were in Chicago for 7 months and I was in LA, and we were like, oh, it was
time zones, you guys. Time zones are rough. And it takes a lot of extra commitment. It's very different when you can kind of, it's cozy and it's nice to just wake up in the same bed and you do your day and you come home. Things are easy. If they're hard that way, then we got to address those. But then adding the element of being...
Again, you should have answered no to the,
Right.
should we do this long distance?
Right.
Also, no, should we even do this? Like,
Correct. So these can apply for both.
Yeah.
But let's just say, you're adding so many more elements.
Yes.
It is hard to be in a situation. We've been in this situation so many times where one person is just going to bed and the other person is waking up. Like if you're doing
literally.
across the world, like Australia,
yeah.
it's a big commitment, and you have to make that commitment because you will not feel connected, and then one of you is going to get upset or hurt. You will start to grow apart. You have to keep after your, I don't know, what do we want to call it? Relationship garden, as it were. Like,
I would love to call it a relationship garden. I think that's definitely what we should call it.
You have to tend to it.
You do have to tend to your garden of relationships. Yes, 100%. And I think one great way to do that is something that we call schedule shifting. So, like, I was just working on a TV show out in LA and I had to schedule shift a little bit. And so did you. You stayed up a little bit later, but when I wasn't on set, I was going to bed eating at like 4 o'clock so that she could eat at 7 o'clock.
Right.
Because she's on the East Coast, I was West Coast. Like anytime that we've been West Coast, East Coast,
You have to adjust. You got to be flexible.
So find those things. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to deal with those time zone inconveniences? Are you willing to deal with schedule shifting? Like both of those are super duper important.
Are you willing to really plan ahead too to do that? It takes a lot of planning. it's impossible to say on a whim, yeah, let's have a FaceTime date tonight, and she or he has already made plans with their friends.
Ooh,
and
friends with their plans.
Friends with their plans, and you don't want to tell them no, don't go hang out with your friends, because that turns into a whole other thing that it shouldn't. Like, you should all go hang out with your friends, but you also need to make time for each other. So it really does take a lot of effort. Yeah. Planning ahead.
Yes, 100%. And that leads, I think, really well into this next little bit. What's hard about those schedule shifts and the time zones is that you are in different worlds. You are existing in two totally different worlds. So whether it's tour and you've got dressing room full of 30 to 100 new people that you're interacting with on a daily basis, and a new city that you're living in a totally different time zone.
Yeah.
And I'm living by myself somewhere else.
Right.
Like, our worlds are entirely different. You're working, you're in rehearsals, you're doing those things. And what we need to accept is that those different worlds are hard sometimes to deal with, because no matter how much you tell me about your cast, I don't know them.
Of course.
And so when you come in and you want to complain about this person, or you want to talk about how great this person is, I don't really know what they're like.
Yes.
And you've got to remember that that's going to be a really hard part of being long distance.
Of course. And I just want to kind of side note tack this
Please.
on. I did an episode on jealousy a couple weeks ago. Check it out if you didn't see it. But
it was really, really good.
Thanks.
Also, I get to edit the videos, so I just get to look at your fucking beautiful face.
Yeah, fucking
and
beautiful face.
Oh my God, she's so hot.
You're so good to me. You're too good to me. Either way, jealousy though, talk about something that could amplify a situation
Ooh.
that was either already brewing or
Ooh.
just create it. I mean, I've 100% been jealous. Jealous things come up when you're long distance. Again, though, because you're not in the same world, right? You don't always know these people. I feel, it's amazing when you're at the same environment. Like, say, I don't know, when we were on tour together and I go away, I know exactly who you're with, who you're hanging out, our friends, same old world.
You know how you are with all of those people.
Yeah. But let's say, when you first went on tour, you're on a tour bus.
Yeah.
I am not jealous of anybody because I know that you love me. Technically, I'm not jealous of anybody, right? I know that you love me. I know you want to marry me. But I am jealous of the people that get to spend so much time with you. Yeah. You get to have a sleepover with these people every single night on a tour bus. I am jealous.
Neither one of us even has our rings on.
Oh, we have no.
I just realized.
We just shower. Yeah. Well, I have paint on me.
You showered. I just.
Just a dirty bird.
Just a dirty bird. That's why I got a hat on.
I'm going to explain this situation, and I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm excited about this. I'm going to get my drink ready.
Hey, hon, I'm going to bed. What? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Party! Shots! And you're like, okay, I'll call you later. Okay. Like, you don't... that's happened to both of us. I know.
100%.
And I'm like, I'm out with my girlfriends. I can't hear you. Bye. Drop my phone.
Yeah. Or I'll be
my phone's dying.
I
Call
would be
my
on
friend.
the bus, and like my bunk on the bus was, because I chose horribly. It was my first tour on that kind of tour. And my bunk was right above the wheel well. So it was like the whole time that we're trying to talk. So even if I could get some kind of quiet, you're still on a bus. The giant wheels on the bus, they go round and round, and they're very loud when they do. With this jealousy thing, I will pivot and caveat off on my side.
Okay.
It doesn't also matter, even if you get ahead of it when you're long distance. I remember I would get like, I'd call you and we'd be talking about your day, and especially in rehearsals and like the first few months of tour. And you'd be like, oh, my dance partner, he's so great. You would love him. I wish you could meet him. And I was like, I was genuinely stoked because you don't ever like dance partners. Like,
no,
you're very picky.
I got very lucky.
And I was like, oh, I can't wait to meet him. And then I could feel you trying to get ahead of like any possible jealousy.
Right.
Because
right.
I'm sure I can only imagine also what like other girls in the cast were saying about just like, seeing, he's a very attractive dude. And I remember you started saying, you're gonna love him. He's like a brother. He's like a fun brother. So I was
like overdoing.
And she was overdoing
which made
it
seem
and
weird.
I was like, cool, that's great. And she kept saying it, and I wasn't jealous. And then I got to Chicago, and I was coming out to visit, and you said something. We were going out, and you were like, I can't wait. You're gonna meet Jason. Like I said, he's not even weird at all. He's just like and I was like, hey,
I'm cool.
I need you to stop, because now I'm starting to think that like I don't give a flying fuck.
Right.
But now I'm starting to think that you're being so anxious about this. Like, so just understand that you're going to have so much grace and patience with each other.
It's all about patience, and you will never get this right. I promise you. You won't. Sometimes you'll get it really right, but then like it's never going to be consistent. Then sometimes you're like, oh, I have to get ahead of things, or I kind of fucked up, or like, I mean, hey, emotions are going to be running high, but again, patience, planning ahead.
You're inevitably going to spend a lot of time with somebody, whether it's a coworker that is also assigned to a project with you, which is, or a dance partner if you're on a literally performing tour, or just somebody that you vibe with out there. That, it's inevitably going to happen. And when it does, yes, and that is okay. How you deal with it is important, but how you deal with what happens after it becomes an issue, because the distance creates tension.
Yes.
And this is a really, really important point. The distance inevitably, like they say, what is it? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Yes, it mostly makes the heart and the mind fucking crazy. So maybe it makes the heart grow fonder, but it makes the brain an absolute psycho.
A psycho.
So just
because you're sitting there there like imagining every crazy scenario, even the most secure couples and people. I promise you, he is the love of my life, but I do think the craziest things sometimes.
Of course.
I'm not talking about a day trip. I'm not talking about even a week trip. If that really bothers you, you got some other things to talk about.
Okay.
I'm talking like
first question.
maybe you're living across the country or the world for the next year or so, and like, how are we going to navigate this? These are big questions. And are you willing to put in that work and be that sensitive and be that? You have to both agree that you are going to communicate to the ends of the earth.
Sorry for the loud clap on the mic.
Like, you have to overly communicate, and you have to be willing to be emotionally available, I think, at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, your ego has to go out the door.
Yeah.
And one of the big reasons, like I said, your heart, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Absence and distance make the brain go
nuts.
Like single white female. And also, this is a very important thing. And I don't want to, if there's any adults on here, earmuffs for the kiddos, but you are apart physically. That this is an important point because we are very physical creatures.
Yes.
And sex is a big part of our relationship. We're very big on like sex after marriage being way better. Like that's a video up here.
It's a beautiful, normal part of any relationship that needs to stay consistent and in tune as everything else. So when you're distanced,
literally can't in that way. For one, are you willing to find other ways to interact with each other? And also, are you willing not to find other ways around that?
Yeah, that you shouldn't.
That you shouldn't. So just that's a really, really, really important caveat that I feel like often gets kind of thrown over when people. Well, like let's just accept.
Be honest about it. Yeah.
This is what we talked about in The Refinery. The Refinery, if you are new here, is a show that we do on Fridays at noon here. It's just Guys Roundtable Talks. I'll link the playlist up here to last season. We're actually starting tomorrow, the third season. So if you're watching this the day this was released. But it's one of those things where Brandon, one of the guys on the show, asked me, he said, well, when you get married, like, how do you not find other women attractive? And I was like, that's not, and we deal with it a lot in that video that I told you about, better sex after marriage. But you don't not find other people attractive just because you're distanced from somebody or just because you're in a relationship.
How did you not cheat on your girlfriend, I guess is a better question, before you were married? Like, it's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. You're just now with your girlfriend forever.
Yeah. And honestly, even over the distance, whether boyfriend and girlfriend, if you've decided to do this, if you both decide, yes, this is worth it, we're just throwing out, here's all the issues that will inevitably come your way.
Think about it.
And really go through it, because just saying, yeah, I want to do this. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that we're and I don't want to say we're wrapping,
going next.
But yes, this is the question.
C'est magnifique.
Will you
Oh, you wanted me to say it. I'm sorry. She went and then looked at me, but I thought you were going to say it. I talk too much. You say it. I like the way you say stuff.
No, I like the way you say it because you actually you put it into words that I couldn't. So
okay. Thank you. So the most important part. So you've answered all the questions up till now. You said yes or no, like the immediacy question, and your brain went, yes, I do want to do this. And we said, okay, there's going to be time zones. There's going to be schedule conflicts. You've got to shift that. You've got this issue. You've got different worlds that you're going to be in. You're going to be apart physically. Remember all of this stuff. And everyone, you were just like, check, 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 check. Love this motherfucker. I am going to be in this. Here's a big question. What are your long-term goals as a couple? And I don't mean just, well, I just want to be together. What are your long-term goals? Is this job or this whatever, this move, whatever's making you separate, is that in line long-term with what you want for your life and what you want for your relationship? Are you both on the same page about that? Because I promise you, not from this experience, but from the pink tour.
Yeah.
If one of you isn't thinking about that at all and the other one is, it will cause strife.
Well, I think the interesting thing about you going on the pink tour is we already knew we were already engaged.
Yeah.
We from the get go. We were engaged for a long time. Story for later, another time. But we already knew we wanted to spend our life together. So we kind of we had a clue what our life was about to entail, which we're performers. We know that sometimes distance happens, but we weren't. Yeah, we didn't know how rough that couple years was going to be.
I guess what I'm saying is that I went into that being like. I was still kind of young and dumb and just like, yeah, I just want to go do this tour. And we both had talked about it, like, well, obviously we're going to do this thing. Like, why would we not go do this? However, what I never took into consideration was, well, what happens after this? That was not really my forte. And you were very much like, I'm going to get this apartment that only costs this much. So even though you're making this much, we're saving this much for the future. And I was like, man, what's today?
Right.
I feel like that's a really important thing because...
But I don't even know if... I think that's an amazing point to make, but yes, that applies to long distance amplified, but I think that's a really good thing to talk about anything.
For relationships.
Just like figuring out your goals and your values, and is this
100%.
like that's a video we need to make, I think, soon, because that's a really good
If you want to see that video, let us know down in the comments below, or just throw a thumbs up and we'll know.
That's a really good point. But I was thinking more like... For me,
if you're just dating,
and I'm not saying like you have to, marriage isn't for everyone. We're not saying that, but what I'm saying is, I think, do you have long-term goals together? Because the goal is not to live separately forever. I just wanted to clarify that no one's goal should be to just enjoy life separately and then occasionally you come together. That is called friendship, and that's wonderful. And you can have sex with your friends. I'm giving everyone permission.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You can have sex with your friends, and you can live.
I have sex with my friend all the time. Sure.
We happen to want to live together 24/7.
Also that.
Some people don't, and that's totally fine. You can have any kind of friendship you want, but if you want to call it like this romantic relationship that you have,
the love you deserve.
The love you deserve. I want you to live with the love you deserve eventually.
Yeah.
You should be able to experience that 24/7, at least for the majority of your relationship.
I love that. What I will say on top of that, not to cut you off at all, is just that what I think about is like, okay, somebody takes a job that's in DC and they were living in San Diego. And well, it's only a year. Okay, well, what's the goal of this?
Yes.
Is the goal, like the initial contract, is this, if you're like, I am never moving to DC,
right?
My long-term goal is not to do this, then I think that that's a question that you need to go, is this job in line with our long-term goals? If it's a job, if it's, taking care of a loved one, like those things.
That's a really good question, though. You have to start... And this is, again, another pressure that's put on long-distance relationships. You have to start thinking about the we much sooner.
Yes.
You are a we pretty much immediately.
Ironically, because when you separate, you become a we immediately.
Because every decision then has to be based off of, is this good for us?
Yeah.
And I promise you, I do not want you to make a decision that is for the us of the couple if you're not absolutely in it to win it. And you don't have to know. Shit happens. People all of a sudden take the mask off. You're like, but like,
I'm gonna have fun in the edit for that.
Right now, like, ask yourself, is this person worth that? And like, we've done that before too. Like, we have to really weigh. We do it all the time. Actually, when I say before, we do it all the time. And it usually is.
We literally did it over Christmas, right before Christmas.
Like, is this job?
We turned down a job because we were like, okay, this is not in line with what we want for our family right now.
Yeah.
And
you have to make decisions based off of what is best for you and your family. And
that was a hard thing to do, but we did it as a couple, as a family.
Yeah.
And it felt right.
I love that.
Yeah.
And we do it a lot. And sometimes it's about the, thank you.
God,
it's about the give and take, like we sometimes I go be with him because I'm like, well, yes, my career might suffer a little bit, but the not career might suffer, I shouldn't say it like that, but some things there's a give and take, right? I'll go on tour with you, or you'll go on tour with me, or we'll go be on set with you wherever you are, like because it's for the good of our family.
Yes.
If someone is offering us, let's say it's a really hard long distance thing, but if they're offering us, say, a certain amount of money, maybe that could really change our future in a way that would be amazing for us as a family, it is worth the sacrifice. So I will go be with you, or, we'll figure out the long distance, or however it is, and vice versa. I mean, that's part of being in an open, honest relationship.
Well, I think here's a great example of this, of what you just said, which snuck up on me. So I have a friend, and we have a couple friend. They're friends. And sorry, I'm doing a terrible job of it. This mint is getting me drunk. We have friends that are a couple. They've been together for a very, very long time. They are both performers. They got cast in the same national tour of a Broadway show. And I was so stoked. I got the call, and he was like, dude, I got this job, and she got this job, and oh my God.
Yeah.
And then he got another call that he had gotten another job that was going to take the same amount of time, but in London. Except they were going to pay him 3 times as much, like 5 figures a week kind of money.
You can't turn it down.
And they went, I talked to him obviously I talk to him all the time, but I've talked to him recently about that decision. And he said it was incredibly hard and incredibly easy. Because as much as I wanted to travel and tour with my wife, we immediately went, well, we want to have kids, and we can build a college fund. We can build the first years of, we can pay for college after a year of this contract.
Yes.
And we can pay off the house, and we can do that.
Yes.
And those things, that's for the family. So that's one of those instances where you go, holy shit, thanks God. It just drops into your lap, and you go, this is not going to be easy. They were apart for a long time because she was also working. So you've got to weigh those things. And that's the whole point of this video, is weigh out the ups and the downs, and also know what they are. Luckily, both of them had toured for a long time and worked for a long time. So they, to the best of their ability, knew what those jobs entailed. But I guarantee you, like you said earlier, no matter how prepped they were for this, shit came up.
Shit always will come up. Shit will come up all the time.
Yeah.
That's life. The shit will come up, though, in your relationship, whether you're together or apart, right?
Yes.
It's just when you're apart, everything is a little more amplified.
Yeah, it's amplified by the space.
We've been kind of being like, and this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
Just so you know, if you love this person, do it. I mean, if you
truly
are on board, but I want you to go to your person, if they're not watching this video with you, go to your person and have this exact conversation that we're having with you. Ask them all these questions, and you make a verbal contract with your hearts and your words, though, that you spoke about this. We're going to be open. We're going to communicate. We're going to put our egos out the door. We're going to
set yourself some groundwork that's going to help. Give yourself a foundation.
It has to be spoken about, though. You have to set the structure and the expectations. Like you said, the foundation. Yeah. So great. I have all the confidence. If you decide yes, we are behind you.
If you said yes in the beginning of the video and you're deciding yes again now, good on you. If you said no at any point in this video, save yourself the heartache, or go back and watch. Now, this is one of the very, very important things that we do in our relationship. We'll give you a little bonus tip here. We watch these kind of things together. So say she reads, or listens to an audiobook, or hears a podcast, or reads an article, and it really speaks to her. She then sends it to me, and either we read it together or I read it and take notes, and then we talk about it. So if this spoke to you, if this video spoke to you, and you're getting ready to go into a long distance thing, and you're like, yes, but I really want my partner to watch this, watch it together and take notes on it. Like make your own list of things, because the things that we've put out there are just the main things that hit us in our time being apart. But yours are going to be different, and maybe you already know what some of those hardships are or what those things are. Find out what those are and decide together whether or not you want to move forward. And I really, really, really hope that it goes whichever way is best for you, and inevitably it will. I think we wrote in here, so if you made, circle back to number 1, that first question, yes or no. Now, knowing what you know now after this video, is it still worth it? If yes, I'm going to put the yes over by you. If yes, congratulations and mazel, you made it work. And you're going to
Mazel?
make it work. It's going to be great. And if no, we'll put that one over here. Congratulations and mazel. Now you get to go out and date and spend time with yourself and find the love that you deserve. And knowing all of this stuff, accepting all of this stuff, and not just going into it blindly is a big part of love.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to, we're so excited to have you. Ugh. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're so, don't laugh
You gotta say
at me.
quick, subscribe, videos over here.
Subscribe, videos over here, relationship, our story,
that's not where any
all
of
of
them
it.
are.
I don't know. I'm terrible at the outtake.